That's the question blowing up every corner of the internet right now. A single rumor, a few cryptic posts, and one viral clip have sparked a wildfire of speculation. And now people are convinced that the Turning Point widow and the sitting vice president might be more than just political allies. To be clear, nothing has been confirmed. No official statements, no receipts, just whispers, screenshots, and online chaos. But that hasn't stopped millions from connecting the dots themselves, especially after new footage resurfaced from a recent event that fans say felt way too personal. And right as the story started spiraling out of control, Joe Rogan stepped in. The man known for cutting through viral noise took one look at the situation and absolutely lost it. Not in rage, in disbelief. The way only Rogan can, laughing, questioning, and calling out just how obsessed people have become with turning every moment into a scandal. So in this video, we're breaking it all down. Where these rumors came from, what really happened between Erika and JD, and how Rogan's reaction turned a simple theory into a full-blown cultural moment. Because whether this is real, fake, or just another case of internet imagination running wild, one thing's certain, the story's too big to ignore. And hey, if you're new here, please help me hit my goal of 500 subscribers. It only takes a second and it helps the channel more than you think. All right, let's rewind a bit and see how this all started.
It all began at a Turning Point USA Leadership Summit, the kind of event where cameras are everywhere and every handshake turns into a meme within minutes. Erika Kirk, known for her sharp commentary and faith-based influence, was hosting a panel that interestingly featured JD Vance as one of the guest speakers. Now here's where things started to look different. Viewers noticed that the chemistry between them didn't feel strictly professional. The smiles, the shared glances, the small moments off stage, all of it was enough to set the rumor mill in motion. Clips began flooding TikTok with captions like, "There's no way this is just friendship," and "You can literally feel the tension." Of course, most of this was just fan speculation, but once that kind of content hits algorithmic gold, there's no turning back. Then one single clip exploded across social media, JD leaning in during a moment of laughter, Erika placing her hand briefly on his shoulder. Totally innocent on paper, but fans claimed it felt way too intimate. The post hit over 1 million views overnight, and from there, it spiraled into full-blown Siri territory. A few users even pointed to past interviews where Erika praised JD's leadership and conviction, twisting her words to fit the narrative that something romantic was brewing behind the scenes. Again, there's zero evidence, just the internet doing what it does best, connecting the dots that might not even exist. But the craziest part is, this all might have stayed a harmless rumor until Joe Rogan decided to talk about it.
When the story finally made its way onto the Joe Rogan Experience, things went from gossip to wildfire. Rogan brought it up during a conversation about media obsession and the way online culture turns everything into a relationship drama. And when his co-host mentioned that Erika Kirk and JD Vance dating rumor, Joe practically spit out his drink. He laughed for a full 10 seconds before saying something along the lines of, "Come on, people are just bored. You can't even share a stage without someone turning it into a love story?" You could hear the disbelief in his voice, not because he thought it was impossible, but because of how quickly the internet jumps to conclusions. But Rogan didn't stop there. He started asking questions like, where did this even start? Is there an actual source, or are we just watching TikToks and pretending it's news? That one line hit hard because it summed up what everyone was thinking. Are we witnessing a real connection, or just another case of social media smoke and mirrors? Still, as Rogan talked, the clip instantly went viral. Fans clipped the segment, captioning it things like, "Even Joe Rogan knows something's up," and "Rogan's reaction says it all." Totally ironic, because his point was literally the opposite. But that's the internet for you. And from there, the story took on a life of its own. Rogan's moment of disbelief was twisted into confirmation, and suddenly, what started as a rumor had become a headline. But here's where things really started getting messy. When people began digging into Erika and JD's past interactions and found details that, to some, made the theory look a little less far-fetched, even if it's still all speculation.
Once Joe Rogan's reaction reignited the story, internet detectives did what they do best. They started digging. Fans began resurfacing old videos, podcast appearances, and event photos featuring Erika Kirk and Vance for months, even years prior. One clip from a faith and leadership conference in late 2023 caught particular attention. Erika was on stage praising JD's ability to lead with humility and conviction. And while that sounds perfectly normal, the way she smiled while saying it sparked a flood of comments like, "She's glowing when she talks about him." Again, nothing concrete, just people reading between lines that may not even exist. Another angle came from social media sleuths, pointing out that both Erika and JD have occasionally posted about similar events, charities, or causes within days of each other. Some even noticed that they liked each other's posts more frequently in recent months, which to rumor chasers was proof something was going on. But as always, correlation doesn't equal confirmation. Still, these tiny coincidences piled up fast. Theories range from they've been close for years but kept it low-key to they only recently started seeing each other behind the scenes. And while all of that remains unverified, it fed perfectly into the kind of slow burn narrative the internet loves. A hidden relationship that might have been right under everyone's noses. And just as the rumors started to hit peak absurdity, Erika made a subtle move online that some saw as her way of responding without actually saying a word.
So just when the internet couldn't get any louder, Erika Kirk posted something that set everyone off again. It wasn't a statement, not even a quote about the rumors. It was just a photo. A simple shot of a coffee cup, a Bible verse, and the caption, "Peace over noise." On its own, totally harmless. But timing is everything, and fans immediately linked it to the ongoing chaos. Comments flooded in within minutes. "Is this about JD? She's totally confirming it without confirming it. She knows exactly what she's doing." Of course, it's just as possible, maybe even more likely, that she was simply addressing the online noise in general. Erika's always been vocal about ignoring gossip and focusing on faith, so this post fits her usual tone perfectly. But the internet doesn't do subtlety. They turned that quiet post into an entire new chapter of the rumor. And to make it even wilder, a few hours later, JD Vance posted a photo from a private dinner with colleagues. Nothing suspicious, but one glass in the corner of the table looked suspiciously like the one in Erika's post. It was probably coincidence, but you already know what happened next. Fans stitched the images together, claiming it was proof they were together that night. Within hours, hashtags like Erika and JD and Vance rumors were trending again. And while all of this remains unverified, the speculation had now evolved from whispers to full-blown conspiracy mode. At this point, Rogan's clip, Erika's post, and JD's dinner photo had created a perfect storm. Everyone wanted answers, but no one had facts. And that's when the conversation shifted from curiosity to chaos.
Once the posts went viral, the internet absolutely imploded. Twitter threads turned into full-blown investigations. TikTok creators were doing side-by-side breakdowns of JD's interviews and Erika's Instagram stories, and YouTube commentators rushed to drop exclusive videos connecting dots that might not even exist.
It wasn't just fans either. Political commentators started chiming in, some claiming that if the rumor was true, it could have serious implications for JD's image as a family man and faith-driven leader. Others said the obsession with his personal life was proof of how toxic the internet's relationship with power and celebrity has become. Meanwhile, meme pages were having the time of their lives. Clips of Rogan's reaction were edited into mashups with dramatic music and fake breaking news banners, while others made jokes like, Joe Rogan solved this mystery faster than the FBI. The weirdest part is even people who didn't believe the rumor still couldn't stop talking about it. It became one of those cultural moments where disbelief turns into entertainment, where the speculation itself becomes the story. And buried under all the noise were subtle reminders from a few calmer voices online. There's still no proof. No photos, no confirmations, not even a credible insider. Just a storm of timing, coincidence, and wild imagination. But as the dust started to settle, people began to notice something strange. The rumor that Rogan had laughed off was suddenly being taken seriously by mainstream outlets, and that changed everything.
At first, it was just gossip pages and Reddit threads, but within days, the rumor had jumped platforms, from fan speculation to mainstream headlines. A few outlets started publishing cautious pieces with titles like "Social Media Explodes Over Erika Kirk and JD Vance Rumors" or "Joe Rogan Reacts to Alleged VP Romance." None of them made outright claims. They were careful to use words like alleged, rumored, and unverified. But even that was enough to make it feel real to casual readers. Once traditional media starts echoing social media, the story takes on a new kind of legitimacy. And suddenly, what began as a bunch of TikTok edits was being discussed on political podcasts, morning shows, and even late-night TV monologues. Some reporters defended Erika and JD, saying it was irresponsible to turn professional interactions into tabloid drama. Others leaned into the intrigue, calling it the strangest crossover between faith, politics, and influencer culture yet. Behind the scenes, neither Erika nor JD made any official comment, which only fueled more curiosity. Because on the internet, silence equals mystery, and mystery equals clicks. Meanwhile, Rogan's name was still tied to it all, with headlines misquoting him as having confirmed or exposed the relationship, when in reality, he'd done the opposite. He'd laughed it off. But that's how fast things twist once the algorithm takes over. By this point, the story wasn't just about whether Erika Kirk and JD Vance were dating. It had become a mirror for how fast truth, rumor, and entertainment blurred together in the modern age. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more ridiculous, someone close to Erika finally broke their silence.
Out of nowhere, a so-called insider appeared online, a person claiming to have worked with Erika on past Turning Point projects. Their comments came in the form of a long, now deleted Reddit post that quickly spread across Twitter and TikTok. In the post, the anonymous user didn't outright confirm anything, but they dropped vague phrases like, "Let's just say Erika and JD have always been close, closer than people think, and some of us saw it coming a long time ago." That was all the internet needed. Screenshots of the post flooded timelines, and people ran wild with theories. You had reaction videos analyzing the writing style, debates about whether the account was legit, and even conspiracy threads claiming the user was part of a controlled leak. But here's the thing, the post had zero proof. No photos, no names, no timestamps, just words. Still, it gained so much traction that even major commentary accounts picked it up, framing it as confirmation from someone close to the situation. By the time moderators removed it, the damage was done. The rumor had mutated from speculation into insider testimony, and fans were already quoting it like fact.
Ironically, that's exactly what Joe Rogan had warned about, how online rumors evolve faster than anyone can stop them. What starts as harmless talk becomes headline fuel, and before you know it, perception replaces truth. But then came the twist no one saw coming. Erika's podcast episode, which some fans believe might have been her subtle way of addressing the entire situation without ever saying a name.
A few days after the so-called insider post went viral, Erika Kirk released a brand new episode of her podcast, and instantly fans were convinced it was about the rumors. The title alone raised eyebrows. Protecting What's Sacred. No mention of JD Vance, no reference to the controversy, but the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. In the episode, Erika talked about how dangerous gossip can be and how the enemy loves distraction. She mentioned that sometimes people project stories onto you that have nothing to do with truth, and that she's learned to stay quiet and let time expose what's real. To most listeners, it was just a message about faith and privacy, totally in line with Erika's brand. But to her online audience, especially the ones glued to the JD rumors, every word sounded like a carefully coded response. Clips from the podcast flooded TikTok with captions like, "She's definitely talking about JD," and "This confirms everything without confirming anything." Others defended her, saying she was being unfairly dragged into a circus built entirely on speculation. Either way, the episode poured gasoline on the fire. Even Rogan's name came back up again, as fans stitched his original reaction next to her podcast soundbite, saying, "Joe called it, this was never real." And just like that, the conversation started to shift. After weeks of speculation, people began realizing something crucial. There was never any solid proof. The rumor had burned bright, fast, and completely out of control, all fueled by interpretation, timing, and the collective obsession with turning private lives into public entertainment. But before we wrap up, let's look at how this whole situation ended and what it says about how easily truth can disappear in the noise. As the dust finally started to settle, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about Erika Kirk or JD Vance anymore. It had become a mirror of how the internet operates in 2025. A hug, a glance, a podcast title, all of it was enough to build an entire narrative that millions believed, despite zero confirmation from either person involved. And that's the part that Joe Rogan's audience couldn't stop talking about. Rogan has said countless times that social media has turned normal human moments into viral drama, and this was Exhibit A. In the days following the frenzy, Erika quietly went back to work, posting about faith and leadership. JD returned to politics, delivering speeches on the economy and family values like nothing had ever happened. No statement, no denial, just silence. And honestly, that silence said everything. It reminded everyone that not every story online deserves to be believed, and sometimes rumors fade faster than they explode. But the clip, the tweets, the conspiracies, they'll live on forever. Because once something hits the internet, it's never truly gone. People will always replay that 6-second hug, slow it down, zoom in, and draw their own conclusions. And that's what makes Rogan's reaction resonate even more. He didn't just laugh it off. He pointed to the deeper issue. That we've become so obsessed with viral proof that we forget the human beings behind it. At the end of the day, whether Erika and JD's connection was real, exaggerated, or completely fabricated by online rumor mills, it exposed something bigger. Our addiction to drama and the way speculation now creates reality. So what do you think? Was it all smoke with no fire? Or did Rogan's viral reaction actually help remind everyone to question the stories we're so quick to believe? Because in a world where every whisper can become a headline, maybe the most shocking truth is that none of it was ever true at all. And that's where things stand. A viral hug, endless speculation, and a rumor that spiraled so far it became its own kind of entertainment. Whether it was real, exaggerated, or completely imagined, the internet treated it like gospel until people slowly realized it was probably just another case of assumptions gone wild. Joe Rogan's reaction, part disbelief, part frustration, summed up what everyone secretly felt. The world's so desperate for drama, we can't even tell what's real anymore. And that's the scary part. But hey, maybe that's the new normal. Every public figure's story gets rewritten by the crowd. Every gesture turns into a headline. Every hug becomes a scandal. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you made it this far, you already know how fast these stories evolve and how important it is to look deeper than the clips. And hey, if you're new here, please help me hit my goal of 500 subscribers. It really helps the channel grow. Hit that like button, turn on notifications, and comment your thoughts below. Was it all a misunderstanding, or did the internet actually uncover something? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.